Good morning. Coach Kelly here with your encouraging word of the day. And the quote that inspired my talk today is every great achievement is born out of struggle. I'll say that again. Every great achievement is born out of struggle. When I first read that quote, I knew immediately that I wanted to create a video for you. But since two things. At the time, I was wrapping up a couple of other videos. And when I read this, as much as I liked it, I didn't exactly have clarity in what I wanted to share. And so I just kind of shoved it to the back corner of my brain to let it sit and simmer for a few days, trusting that the clarity would come, and by that weekend, I had it. And it's very simple. The very best things in life are found on the far side of struggle. Again, the very best things in life are found on the far side of struggle, and for struggle to exist, you have to have an opponent. And opponents can come in many different forms. For example, one of my favorite all-time series of movies is Rocky. Now, I like the first four movies the best, so in Rocky 1 and 2, he fights Apollo Creed. In Rocky 3, he fights Clubber Lang. And in Rocky 4, he fights the Russian Ivan Drago. So not only did Rocky face four powerfully formidable opponents in these movies, he also had to punish himself physically and then battle his inner emotional demons in preparing for the fight in each movie. I mean, the very essence of these movies is struggle. And yet without Creed, Lang, and Drago, you have no opponent, you have no struggle, you have no possibility of victory. It basically makes the movies pointless. And yet we have four classic stories of overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles to achieve victory in the end. And I think these movies contain some of the most iconic fight scenes ever. I know I started training at about 15, and that was about the time that Rocky 3 came out. Stallone made a unbelievable, incredible transformation from the first two movies to Rocky 3. I mean, he looked amazing. He looked like a bodybuilder. And so, again, that was about the time that I first started lifting, so I want to look like Rocky. I mean, it fired me up. But maybe more compelling to me than the four movies is the story behind the story of how Stallone brought Rocky to life in the first place. So in the beginning, he was struggling writer and actor, and good grief, the movie industry can be cruel at any stage of the game, but especially when you're just starting out. He was in a bad marriage, and financially he was in a bad place. He didn't have two nickels to rub together. So unless you're a boxing purist, you probably had never heard of the name of Chuck Wepner. But even if you don't follow boxing, you've heard of Muhammad Ali, the great Muhammad Ali. So Wepner, the nobody, has the opportunity to go up against Ali, the world champ. Sound familiar? It's scheduled for 15 rounds. Wepner goes the distance. At one point, in fact, he knocked Ali on his butt. Now, he didn't knock him out, but he knocked him down. Now, the champ did go on. He stood up. He regained his composure. He went on to win the fight, but still, Wepner went the distance. Stallone saw that fight. That was the inspiration for Rocky. He went home with his mind on fire. For the next 3 or 4 days, he wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, and the script was done. I mean, it just poured out of him. So it's a matter of finding a producer that would make it. So he starts knocking on doors. No. No one would have anything to do with it. They said it was worthless. He finally found a producer that was interested. Of course, Stallone didn't want to just make the movie. He wanted to play Rocky. The producer said, "You're insane. No one knows who you are. We're not allowing you to play the lead role." Stallone says, "My script, my movie, my way, the highway." They gave in. They saw the value in the story and they gave in. So now they were already going out on a limb to allow him to play Rocky. They weren't going to pay him, at least not what it was worth. And so they offered him a one-time, upfront, flat fee. Stallone says, I want my upfront money and I want royalties for a lifetime. If I'm breathing, I'm getting paid. And that was and he got his way. That was one of the wisest decisions that Stallone ever made. That was a massive step forward into him becoming a very wealthy man today. So there's still one more story behind the story. And now the first time I ever heard this was from Tony Robbins, as in motivational guru Tony Robbins. He and Stallone are actually buddies in real life. So I heard him tell this story. It made me cry. So remember the first movie, Rocky's dog Buckus? That was actually Stallone's dog Buckus. That was his dog in real life. So go back before the Rocky days when he was still struggling. It basically got to the point that he couldn't afford to feed he and his wife, pay the bills, and feed the dog. take care of the dog. And it broke his heart. But he sold his dog. He sold his dog to a guy on the street. And it just broke his heart. And then soon after that, the whole Rocky deal came about. He had his initial payday. Money was not an option anymore. And so he goes out and he looks and looks and looks, and he finally found the guy that he sold Buckus to. Of course, that guy knew what had happened to him. He knew that of his little financial windfall. There's no way he was selling the dog back for what he had paid for it. Stallone ended up paying thousands of dollars to get his dog back. It was insane. But he got his dog back. And the guy negotiated, semantics. He wanted to play part in the first movie. Now, I mean, he's standing in a crowd. I have no idea who he is. I just know it's true. He is actually in the first movie. So again, both stories are struggle, 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 victory in the end. So let's transition from the world of movie sports to real sports, professional sports. The essence of sports is still struggle. And for struggle to exist, you have to have an opponent. And like I said in the beginning, they can come in all different forms. So you can have one-on-one. You can have team-on-team. What about one man against a 3,000-foot vertical granite wall? Intriguing? So El Capitan in Yosemite, California, is one of the tallest vertical walls on the planet. From base to summit, it's 3,000 feet. It's a little over a half a mile. Now, I did a little research on Mother Google. There are a few other peaks overseas that are a little taller, not by much. El Capitan is a beast. It is a Goliath. And given its easy access in Yosemite, it has been a popular mountain for rock climbing for years. And on June 3rd, 2017, Alex Honnold became the first man ever, man or woman, to climb El Capitan free solo. Free solo means no protective gear, no ropes, no harnesses, no nothing. Fingertips, and maybe not even all 10, hand holds, fingertip holds, toe holds, 3,000 feet, little over half a mile. Insane. I think it's one of the most remarkable feats in sports history ever, and I mean ever, and here's why. And let's use the Super Bowl for example. You have your two teams, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. And outside of a freak accident where someone really gets hurt, and it does happen, but outside of that, the worst case scenario for the losing team, by the way, they get paid a lot of money. The worst case scenario for the losing team is they go home and they get over the normal bumps and bruises and aches and pains that all professional football players go through after a game. That's it. And then they just kind of ease into off season. And then, they've got a few months to rest before, whatever, off season practice kicks up again in the summer. That's it. Worst case scenario. That's not what Alex faced when he climbed El Capitan. Now, I tried to find a better number for you on Mother Google, and it just really doesn't, I couldn't find it. I was trying to find, okay, what is the number that if you fell from that height, you're dead? And it's just not really there. Because technically, you could fall from a 10-foot ladder, and it'd be fatal if you fell the right way. So I thought I would just be absurdly obvious that anything north of about a 10-story building, which is 140 feet, if he made a mistake, he's dead. Oh, by the way, at 140 feet, he still had 2,860 to go to get to the top. And you don't get up so far and change your mind and come down. That is massively more difficult than going up in the first place. So, insane. And then the practice that he went in, the preparation that he went into him making the climb. He spent over a year. So if you've ever been snow skiing, you know that the different runs have different names. Rock climbing's the same way. So there are established routes on El Capitan. You can look it up online that climbers have made over the years with gear. And so Alex practiced those runs over and over and over, taking meticulous notes, literally from base to summit, every hand and toe and foot and toe tip or whatever, all the way to the top. Meticulous notes, trying to find out what is the best route that he could take that would allow him to get to the top. And he finally settled on it's the free rider route. That's the one that he climbed. But in the process of doing all that preparation, he fell over and over and over. Now, again, he had on gear, so that saved him. But, I mean, good gosh, he would have died umpteen times. And to think that, that had to go into his head. For him to have the ability to flush all those falls out of his mind, he must have, I think, all great sports champions have what I call selective memory. So again, go back to football. NFL quarterback, One series of plays, he throws interception. You give him the ball again the next time, he throws a 40-yard bomb for a touchdown. You know, the interception did not keep him from succeeding on the next time he got his hands on the ball. I think Alex must have that same ability for him to flush all of those falls out of his head. So on that fateful morning of June 3rd, that he was able to start, in the dark by the way, with a free and clear mind, and then maintain absolutely in the present. And it took him just shy of 4 hours to get to the top without allowing any of those past technically failures to enter into his mind. I think it's unbelievable. I think it's one of the greatest feats of mind-body control in sports history. So what about you? What are you struggling with? I mean, given the infinite possible answers that you could give me, from personal relationship, family, friends, your job, your career, students, school, your health, etc. I mean, it's infinite. So for me to sit here and try to offer you any specific direction would be crazy. So rather, I just want to close with a few thoughts that have given me peace over the years as I've gone through seasons of trial. And the first is from one of my longtime mentors, leadership expert John Maxwell. I've been following him since the late 90s. So John has a favorite saying in life that all of the best things in life were found uphill. As in, you got to go get it. No free lunches, no free rides. You got to climb. You got to put in the work. I mean, it's just, the good stuff is not found at the bottom of the hill, ever. Another saying that I've heard, and I don't know who said this, but I've heard it really for years, and that is, and I believe it with all my heart, we grow from our struggles. We grow from the hard stuff in life, not the easy stuff. We grow from our struggles. I know as a fitness professional, really in every area of my life, but as a fitness professional in particular, I am better able to serve my clients today because of the injuries that I have gone through. I've had knee surgery. I've had shoulder surgery. I should have had another shoulder. There's a story there. I've had herniated disc, and I've had lots of tweaks along the way for just over 40 years now. And in all that, I learned so much more than I ever would have otherwise had I not gone through those injuries. To the point that today, there's no doubt in my mind that I can serve my clients more, and more importantly to me, protect them as much as possible. And to date, I've rarely had a client, injure themselves. I mean, I'm just good fortune on my part, but I just am very protective of my clients. And in fact, there's a Bible verse that it was a favorite of mine, but I've adopted as a life verse, and it's so a part of me now, and it's kind of my operating mode every day with life in general, but especially what I do for my living. And it is 2 Corinthians 1, 3, and 4. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of all grace and comfort, who blesses us in our times of needs and struggles, so that we may be a blessing to others in theirs. Basically, I think God blesses us to go through challenging times so that we can help others go through challenging times, and maybe with a little less pain and suffering than what we did, because we're there to help them. I like the idea of that. So you probably heard a couple more things. You probably heard the saying that the darkest part of the night is right before the dawn. So good gosh, if you're going through a struggling, hard time season of life, don't stop. You don't know how close you might be to that breakthrough. And once you make that breakthrough, it could be just totally smooth sailing after that. So if you're going through hell, keep going. Don't stop and go backwards. And then one last thought. This is from my favorite book. And, my brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces patience. Let patience have its full effect, so that you may be complete and perfect, lacking nothing. That's James 1, 2 through 4. I hope what I shared today helps. Have a great day. I look forward to sharing with you again soon.